It's the most that I've played on defense.
Okay.
You know, I'm leading the team in interceptions. I'm having a great year. It's my contract year.
Which is a big year.
Yeah, big year. Yeah. And I break my leg in the first quarter, play the whole game versus the Steelers on a broken leg. And so the Super Bowl's legit 6 weeks from that day.
Yeah.
So it's like, damn.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if it happened a week earlier, then I had a chance or whatnot per bone healing.
Welcome to the Shaw Straight Podcast. Today I have a great and exciting guest, David Bruton Jr., Super Bowl champion, part of the Super Bowl 50 Denver Broncos. Sure. Really fun past, man. And, it's fun to research you a little bit, like coming into this podcast. And I'm excited to hear your story. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you having me. Yeah, Super Bowl 50 was a heck of a year. The career was a heck of a time. And I'm just excited to be here.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, tell me a little bit about your past. Obviously, we're in Notre Dame.
Absolutely.
And representing, we got, the cup going, we got the sweatshirt going, man, all of it. But like, tell me about your past, like childhood, growing up. What was that like?
Absolutely. So I was born originally in Winchester, Kentucky, and we moved up to Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, Miamisburg, and Centerville when we were 6. And we moved up there for opportunity. My parents were looking for job opportunities, and as far as activities that the kids can get into and not, be in drugs or anything.
100%.
Like that. There was a lot more to do in Ohio versus Winchester, Kentucky. So we moved up there, back and forth between different schools. Parents were separated multiple times from each other, remarried. But ultimately what happened during my time in Ohio before I went off to school was I didn't get introduced to football till 7th grade. So I was a late bloomer.
Okay.
And in Ohio, everybody's starting in first grade or they come out the womb
Super
in the helmet,
young.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So I was definitely a little late there. Got introduced to football there. Loved it. Started every game. My 7th grade year, 8th grade, broke my ankle. 9th grade, didn't play a single snap of football. Like I was on the team, didn't play a single snap. Not one single snap. So funny story about that freshman team, my oldest son, his stepdad, his brother was the coach of that freshman team. So Jaden's step-uncle was the coach of that football team. So
That's crazy.
I give him crap all the time. So
okay.
I give him crap all the time when we're back there. But freshman year, didn't play. Sophomore year, they brought up a freshman to play ahead of me, right? So
so why did you not play a snap at freshman year?
I guess I sucked. I guess.
So they just said, nope, you're not in.
Yeah.
Wow.
I guess I just was a terrible football player, and I was a skinny kid, scrawny kid, just lanky, still trying to figure out my body or whatnot, and I was on the smaller side. Then sophomore year, they brought up a freshman, and then junior year is where everything clicked. Junior year, something about the third year was something that always clicked. So third year, sixth game of the year, ended up getting 2 interceptions, a touchdown, a couple receptions, and now I'm on the radar to get recruited. So
Interesting.
Now because they were there watching the running back from the other team, University of Indiana was there, and then got some traction there. And then I started playing well the rest of that year. So I ended up with 8 picks in that at the end of my junior year.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
So then go to junior days, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, these junior days, go there, get scholarship from Michigan, get scholarship from Notre Dame. First offer was from University of Cincinnati, and ultimately committed to Notre Dame before my senior year.
That's wild, man. So not really playing too much freshman and sophomore. Junior, just blow up.
Yeah.
Right? And then you like to get those type of offers, man. Right. I mean, how were you feeling?
I was feeling blessed. I was excited. I was super nervous. My head coach was a big Notre Dame fan. I didn't know anything about Notre Dame. I didn't know anything about recruiting.
Did you watch football a lot growing up? Were you into it or
only Carolina Panthers was the team because my dad was a truck driver, so he brought up a mug then. Then during the Broncos, their Super Bowl run, I had a Terrell Davis poster in my room. So those were the 2 teams that I watched. And then obviously of the U and Sean Taylor and Ed Reed and that whole team during that time. So that was what I watched. I wasn't an Ohio State fan. Okay. Never was an Ohio State fan. But yeah, so I never watched football that much. I just went out there and played.
That's crazy, man. So you just loved it.
Yeah,
loved it.
Just went out there and just played the game. And then okay, now I can go off to college. So now I start working a little harder. Like, okay, how can I separate myself? Yep, the opportunity set itself there. So commit to Notre Dame. The head coach that I committed to gets fired from Notre Dame, so I decommit, almost go to a University of Wisconsin.
Wow.
And Barry Alvarez was the coach at the time, but he was stepping down to become the athletic director. And I've read a lot about Barry Alvarez because when I committed to Notre Dame, I read that national championship book, the 1988 season, and Barry Alvarez was on that staff. So
interesting.
Hearing his story or hearing from, like, seeing it from the outside looking in, kind of what he was or who he was during that time, like, cool, I could potentially see myself playing for this coach. He was stepping down to AD, and ultimately I decided to commit back to Notre Dame under Charlie Weiss.
Okay.
We don't remember Charlie Weiss. He was with New England Patriots. He was big time coach. He went to Notre Dame too. So it's like, okay, well, he has this pro adage, and there's something to him. Like, he's used to winning. I want to go to a program that's winning.
Yeah.
So get there. He tells me freshman year, I'm the first freshman he's going to put on the travel team on special teams. Freshman year was also rough because I was slated to be the starter till the week 1 game, until like that Wednesday of week 1. And what happened was I couldn't understand the game plan. The game plan was too complicated. There was too many shifts. I was making too many mental mistakes, and I would ultimately become a liability out there on the field. So I lost that job, lost it for 2 years. But from that was a learning experience for me. It's like, okay, I'm always going to know the playbook. I'm going to know it inside and out. I'm going to know what the D-line's doing, linebackers doing, corners doing, what happens with this shift, that shift, so on and so forth.
Well, there's a lot, and I think that's an important point because a lot of people out there that are fans of football, they, it's easy to sit on the couch and watch the game and or go to the game and watch it, whatever. There is so much stuff happening.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like in the playbook, it's crazy, right? Like, and the players, like you said, they need to know it inside and out.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And the best players know that.
Yeah.
And they recognize what's happening like in front of them. It's like a puzzle that's unfolding.
Absolutely.
And you have to know it. Otherwise it's going to happen so quick that you're never going to be in front of it.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not even just the playbook in itself. It's also like knowing the player across from you too.
Sure.
Because,
the scouting, their tendencies.
Amon St. Brown runs a route different than Tyreek Hill versus, Puka Nakua or whatever in LA. Like, they run their routes different, so everything looks a little different. So understanding the players as well. But, there's something about the third year. So junior year, things clicked at Notre Dame.
So this is high school. Yeah, now we're talking college.
College. Yeah, we're talking college. Third year clicked. I become a starter. I go out there. I play well. I get multiple interceptions. A big one that against Michigan State, Pittsburgh, like just making these great plays out there, giving myself an opportunity. And now scouts start talking to me and agents, and I start getting traction there.
Okay.
Like, okay, well, the NFL's now potential for me. So then, you go into hyperdrive. It's like, okay, well, let me go ahead and dig in and try to plant my feet there. But all this time during college, man, honestly, it's like I grew a lot during that time because my oldest son was born my freshman season.
Oh, wow.
So it took a lot for me to even still be at Notre Dame after my freshman year. So he was born during my freshman season. Do I go back to Dayton, Ohio, and be a full-time dad? Do I take a step away from school? So I saw counselors, I saw coaches, I saw teammates, and like ultimately what it came down to was like this was setting him up for success if I stayed in school, whether I made it to the NFL or not.
Yeah,
just getting a degree from Notre Dame was going to help be better off than me going back to Miamisburg, Ohio.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah,
like at that age, because you're trying to. A freshman in college, right? There's so much stuff that you're figuring out. At that, I know for myself, I was trying to figure out a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's like this transition from, getting out of high school and then the opportunities with college. Then, a lot of people won't understand how tough playing a college sport is.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like, because you're now going to school. You got to be in class. You got to maintain your, the studying there and get good scores and maintain your grades. And then on top of that, you have practice, you got individual work, you got, the conditioning, strength and conditioning, you got all of that going on at the same time. And now you're also a dad, right? So that's, honestly, man, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It took a lot of growing up in that moment, and making that decision was a tough decision to ultimately stay there. I was very blessed that Notre Dame was only 4 hours from my hometown, so I could get back there more frequently, or he can come up more frequently. So I was definitely blessed there. Best decision that I made to stay in school.
That's nice.
Best decision I made to stay in school. But yeah, so you get to that junior year, NFL's a reality, and I keep that momentum throughout my senior year, and I get drafted by the Broncos in the 4th round, and spent 7 years here, and the 3rd year at Denver Broncos, I get told that I'm going to get cut. They're going to go with another safety if I don't do something special on special teams, and I go out there and block 2 punts against Seattle in the preseason games. So there's something about the 3rd year that just kind of catapults me into a position to solidify myself. I can be a special teams guy in the league, or I can be a starter in high school and in college, and set myself up for success.
What was your mindset, right? Tell me about, let's just say high school to start, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not playing freshman year, sophomore year, and then it's did you have aspirations with football to go to the next level when you were in high school, when that was happening?
When I didn't really think anything of recruiting. I didn't think anything of playing college ball. I was so naive. I just went out there and played. It was recess. I took the stress away from it. Nowadays, kids don't get the chance to be away from stress. Every play is stressful instead of being play-free, carefree, and just going out there and just having fun. Honestly, I wanted to run in the Olympics. That's what I wanted to do. That was interesting. That was my
So were
dream.
you doing track?
I was doing track as well.
Okay.
I was doing track as well. I wanted to run in the Olympics. My mom was a track runner. My cousin's Tyson Gay. So there's
interesting.
Yeah, we had some speed. I was like, okay, there's a chance.
Yeah.
There's a chance. I can.
The genetics are there, man.
The genetics are there for sure. But yeah, it was after I'm approached by a college coach. Okay, now it's a reality.
Yeah.
Now it's a reality. I was out there having fun. Okay, let's put a little bit more work into it, because now I know the college ball is going. These are grown men that we're playing against.
That kind of planted the seed.
Mm-hmm.
So were you actively, you said, freshman year you're smaller, were you trying to incorporate training with weights, or what were you doing? Were you trying to eat more to gain
oh my goodness, man,
to open that door?
My metabolism is off the chart. I will, a lot of people be sedentary and gain weight. I will lose it so quick. It takes me no time to drop weight. Just off me. It's crazy. I had to put work in to maintain weight, but I was 5'6" my freshman year, and then I was 6 foot my sophomore year. I had a massive growth spurt, and and then trying to keep up with that with eating and all that, and then track, and then I was a 400 runner. There was no time for me to ever hold weight.
So it's you're gonna be lean all the time.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. So that mindset shift though, when you got the opportunity to be recruited.
Mm-hmm.
So then did track go away at that point, or you kept doing it?
I kept doing track. I kept doing it.
Did you feel like it benefited you on the football field?
Absolutely, and I still had dreams to. And the first coach that I committed to at Notre Dame said I could run track at Notre Dame.
Oh, so do both.
So I was going to try to. I was going to do both.
Okay.
I was going to do both. Do indoor during the spring, and then play football in the fall. They did it for baseball and football, and we had one guy up there, one good friend. He ran track in the Big East. He ran the 6. I think he finished 3rd in the 60. So I was like, okay, they let that happen.
Yeah.
And then the coach got fired, and Weiss shut that down. Weiss let the baseball players do their thing, play baseball during spring ball, but shut down track in its entirety.
Interesting.
Which made no sense. I'm like, we're playing USC, who is they're all Olympic track team, and that's during Reggie Bush time and Jared, and just super fast, right? And then we're playing Tennessee.
Did he give you a reason?
Worried about hamstrings.
Interesting.
Worried about hamstrings.
So just hamstring injury was too much of a risk. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even with that though, were you disappointed to not be able to do that?
The first year. Year I was definitely disappointed to do it, because I was in the best shape of my life. I was running, sub 50 400s. I was 48, 47.
Sub 50. That's nuts.
So I was, this is me doing it as a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah.
I wasn't even 18. I didn't even get true strength. Strength training was, okay, let me hold the bar. Okay, I can do some deadlifts.
Not
it wasn't too much.
Okay.
Back then, but yeah, I was definitely disappointed. But at the end of the day, that might have been a blessing in disguise. Okay, I got a chance to study the playbook a little bit more by spring season. I got a chance to, get a little stronger in the weight room, get a little bigger, and actually get to that 200 pounds my junior year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that, I mean, it's interesting when you look back, I think, and we'll probably get into a little bit more of this, but like your path, right? The path you followed and how doors opened at certain points and why things happen, or maybe why they didn't happen, or that type of thing. Like it's so fascinating to hear that, because it's like, okay, well, it sounds like you had the talent to potentially do that, but it's like, well, you were destined to be a football player.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe that closed at that point because the football door needed to open.
Absolutely.
Or something like that. Like
Absolutely.
it's fun in a way, like as you look back, especially, I think you get a clearer perspective once you get out of it a little bit and say like, well, maybe that happened because of this. And I didn't know that was my destiny to kind of fulfill that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think timing mattered, right? The timing of things matter. Like, did that door open up at 12:01 or did it open up at 2? Right.
Sure.
All that timing matters. I definitely think it plays a huge role. If I look back now, just think about my path to college, I don't know if that path would necessarily work with this path now, like the opportunities now with the NIL and the transfer portal and stuff like that. And I have to tell my oldest, like, y'all got it tough.
Yes.
As a high school athlete, y'all have it tough. Like, scholarships aren't readily available. They're going to all these grown men who are like 23, 24 years old to get another year or two. COVID happened. Like, y'all have it tough. Like,
it's a different game.
It's definitely a different game.
Yeah. That's interesting, man. So I want to know what it was like when you started, like with the NFL stuff, right? Because it's one thing for sure to, start getting college looks and, potential offers and that type of thing. But NFL is like, that's so many young kids, right? Like they have that dream, NBA, NFL, whatever, Major League Baseball, all this type of stuff.
Yep.
So to get that where it's like, okay, I'm actually talking to agents, this could be a reality. Like what did that feel like for you?
Oh, a blessing, honestly, a blessing, something that I never fathomed. I watched it here and there. I wasn't glued to the TV watching the NFL or anything. So it's like, okay, this is a blessing. Okay, this is a lot coming at me right now. It's like,
I bet.
Okay, which round you could fall? What's that mean? Dollar amount? What's it look like? Loans and stuff like that. Finances. What's all that look like moving forward? What's the training look like? Okay, I got to move to California because my agents were based out in California, and that's where they trained. And like, well, how's my mom going to deal with that? Because we played Christmas Eve. I stayed in Hawaii Christmas Day and the 26th. I come back and then I leave on the 29th. So my mom saw me for Christmas break maybe 3 days.
3 days.
My last Christmas break in college. Yeah. So how is she gonna handle that? So it was crazy because you've seen the training. It upticks. Like, yes, I was at a D1 big time program, but the training for the combine is different. And then understanding the stresses that come with what's your 40 time like? What do you jump? When you stand there in front of people on the stage, you've done it, like standing at the stage and like all these eyes are judging you, like
everybody
based on how you look, what your hand size is and all that stuff. Essentially becomes a meat market and
big
that's
time.
it. It becomes a meat market in that sense. So I was like, okay, so now they're going to know every little detail of my life, and then you're talking about stresses talking with coaches and breaking down plays and what you do here. And are you a professional to see that you effed up here and effed up there? Sure. How would you have approached that play differently? So
that's a lot.
Yeah, there's that 4 month span from December till April, that's very stressful.
Yeah.
It's very stressful. Because not just the draft, but then you have rookie mini camp or camp with the vets or whatnot. So now you got to try to solidify yourself there, show that you belong. And they're judging you every single snap. It's not what have you done for me lately? It's what have you done for me now?
Right now.
And now, right? It's like every second, what have you done?
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure, especially as an expendable 4th round draft pick.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not breaking the bank. You're not a big investment like the first rounders or the second rounders.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you feel, after you went through all that, get drafted, how did you feel? Like 4th round, were you happy with that? Were you disappointed with that? Did you feel like you should have gone higher?
Looking back at it, I I feel like I dropped the ball, which I did. I dropped 4 or 5 interceptions my senior year. I ended up with 4, and I dropped 5.
Oh man.
Yeah. So life would have been a little different.
So if it would have been 9 instead of 5.
Yeah. Would I've been in Denver? Probably not. I probably would have went somewhere else. And this was the big contracts back in the day. Yada yada. Right. First or second round. But I think it allowed me to continually be hungry.
Yeah.
And try to put my best foot forward. It's like, okay, this guy was drafted in the second round at the same position. I can outplay him, play longer. I'll show that I have more value at my price point.
Yeah.
I just feel like looking back at my career, looking back at the 4th round, it's like it was a blessing. Yeah, everybody wants to go first round, second round, third round. But as long as you get a chance to be on the field to prove yourself, like that's what you have to do every year after that contract anyway. It's like even in your first rounder, at some point you're gonna have to prove that you're still worth that first round. Yeah. Right? You're still 100%. You're going to get that chance. Can you still go out there and play? Like at some point in time, you're still going to have to prove yourself, not just because somebody invested so much in you based off your college film. At some point in time, you're going to have to prove that you're worth that dollar.
Do you think guys that potentially get drafted, super high, right? Like, do you think that in any way shifts their mental outlook? Like you're saying, like, all right, I'm 4th round, I'm hungry because all these guys that got drafted, I know I'm better than that guy. I know I'm better than this guy, and I'm going to go prove it. Versus, the pressure of a higher draft. You go in a higher draft pick position. Do you think some of those guys get complacent because they think like, all right, I'm big time, like I'm up here, or do you think it just depends on the guy?
I feel like it depends on the guy. I feel like it depends just on the guy in general. It doesn't matter where you fall. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth round. Depends on what your mindset's like. Are you willing to dig in a little deeper? Are you willing to spend a little bit more time film study? Are you willing to sit with a veteran next to you and like learn how to study film at the professional level? Like I was very blessed to have Brian Dawkins, Champ Bailey, Ronaldo Hill, like DJ Williams. Guys, like I had this great veteran presence of guys who were like All-Americans in college and all pros, and 2 of them became Hall of Famers, right? I was very fortunate to have that in the locker room to learn how to be a pro and develop myself professionally in that sense. So it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. There's some first rounders who are super hungry. Like they're constantly learning. Like heck, Peyton was a first rounder and he was in the film room more than everybody else, right? He was 20 years in, 18 years in, 19 years, still studying, going above and beyond to work on his craft. Yeah. So it just depends on what your makeup is and the timing of things. Like I don't think it matters where you fall in the draft.
What was it like when you got to Denver with guys like that? Did you feel like they were accepting of you coming in and wanted you to be a part of it, or was there, because obviously it's a competitive thing, right? Like you're potentially coming in, taking somebody's position, taking somebody's playing time. Like it's one of these things where, were they ready to teach you or help you along with your journey?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's true professionalism, right? And when you're a rookie, you're looking for a mentor. Yeah. You're looking for a mentor. And like I said, I was very fortunate to have Doc and Champ and Ronaldo and Andre Goodman. I had these guys who were like 10 years plus in the league. Like they were solidified and they knew that their time was not going to last that much longer. So how can we help these guys develop? How can we grow these guys? Because ultimately, like if you can teach, like this is back just studying. Like if you can teach what you learned in class, you're going to become better yourself. Like,
so in a way, they're improving just by showing you more.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And we're all going for the same goal. We're all trying to win games. We're all trying to win a national a Super Bowl in that sense. Like we're trying to win at the end of the day. So your best foot forward is what they expect, and that's what they did, not just on the field and in the meeting room, but as a mentor to us younger players.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I mean, it was cool. I mean, for me, like watching at that time, like when in Denver, it was huge. It was awesome, man. Yeah. And like I feel like the Broncos were in Colorado here. Like that's always a big deal, right? Like it was always, with especially like you go back to like where you're talking about like Terrell Davis and John Elway and those guys, like, bringing the Super Bowl here was like, and that was when I was in high school. Like I remember it was like everybody's, taking off school, ditching school, like we're going to the parade, all that, So it's kind of it was a fun thing. Like, so coming to Denver, like, were you excited to come to Denver?
I was. I told myself after college, no matter what had happened, I was either going to live in San Diego or live in Denver.
Okay.
Those were the two places.
So you already
I
already
knew where I was going to end up.
That's
some
great,
way, somehow. But yeah, I was welcomed with big arms, open arms. They appreciated, they loved, they were respectful of time when you're out and about. I felt welcome. I felt part of the community almost immediately.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So playing with, especially that defense, right? Like it was no fly zone, right? Like that was the big thing. What was that like? Like, I mean, I would imagine the culture of that defense was something special.
Oh yeah, the culture is what made that defense, right? Like, and it was kind of solidified from that very first game. It's like, okay, well, we don't have the same type of Peyton Manning that we had the last 3 years.
Yeah,
we're going to have to go out there and win the game, and which is what we've done. But if you look at the no-fly zone, there's a lot of different personalities in
big time
in that secondary, right?
Yeah.
From Akeem to TJ, to D-Stu, myself, Roby, Chris Harris, like all different personalities, but the timing worked. Right, it's all about time. We were all in the same place, same room at the same time. Omar, Kayvon, like all in the same room at the same time.
Yeah.
And we're all trying to get better. Like Akeem's like, okay, this is what I see here. Chris is doing the same thing.
See, that's cool.
Yeah, man. We're like all communicating. Then I'm like, okay, TJ, you take the dime backer. I'm gonna move the safety so we can disguise our coverage a little bit more, just to give us an advantage. And then, I mean, it's easy to cover for 2 seconds when you got D-Ware and Vaughn in their prime over here.
Sure,
going
going hard.
right?
Yeah,
It's like, but zero, we're just gonna sit back, get that ball out quick. Yeah,
it's cool, man. I mean that it was fun to watch. What I'll say is it was fun to watch, man. It was fun to watch. And being a fan of that was cool, really cool. So being a part of it, I can only imagine how special that was, like behind closed doors, and
it was.
Walking out on that field, like at that time had to be kind of surreal, right?
Oh, for sure. And like just knowing the confidence that you had in one another, and like everybody was on a string and everybody was like trying to make a play. And it's like, well, the only way you stay in the league is if you make plays. So make that play, make that play, make that play, make that play. Yeah. Okay, how are we going to win these games if the offense is struggling? We make this play, make that play, make that play. Like,
sure.
And guys, we just went and had that mentality where, F it, like we got to go out there and win the game. End of the game, we got to seal it. We got to get a pick. We got to force a fumble and return it for a touchdown. Like there's a lot of different things throughout that season. It's like, man, if this defense doesn't make that one play, they lose. They don't make that one play, they lose. Like, right.
For you, like what would you say is like one or a couple plays that like stand out for you where you knew you had to make it and it was a big moment? We should pull up.
The Detroit interception. The interception versus Detroit was a big one. It's third down. They're driving the ball, whatnot, and it's up on the tape right now. And Matthew Stafford, first rounder from Georgia, Pro Bowler, All Pro, Super Bowl champion, and just before this play, me and Akeem were over there. Me and Akeem were over there just talking. It's like, hey, Brute, get under this. It's probably going to be a bang 8 or whatever. You got to get depth and get in there, fake it.
Yeah.
So we are communicating before that play, and just jump into that lane, right? Boom.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. The tip is, I mean, that's you were on it, man.
Yeah.
On it for sure.
Yeah, that was a great play. Coop gave me the game ball after that to kind of, because it helped seal the game and whatnot. Yeah.
Dude, that's cool. I mean, what is it like watching now? Like something like that. Like you did that, obviously. Like, is it fun? I would imagine it's fun to watch, but like, do you put yourself back in your shoes then?
I'm like, damn, I look big. Like I need to lift more weights, right? But yeah, no, I look back at it, it's like, showing the kids what I was like, yeah, Daddy did that, Daddy did that. That's what's surreal there. Yep, I remember making that play. And getting the chance to relive it, and your heart beats a little bit. It's like, God, yep, I still got it. And this is early on in my career. Fox, I think this is John Fox's first year.
Okay.
And we run a fake punt, and I was a special teams captain, and he was very confident in me running these fake punts or whatever.
Yeah.
Knowing the situation, the down distance. Okay, cool, let's go do it. So we did that one in Jacksonville. Then you go fast forward a couple years later, and we're in Kansas City, and it's not called, and we get a penalty.
Okay.
And then so then the ball moves back 5 yards, and they changed from an 8-man front to a 6-man front. It's like, okay, cool. We can run a fake on 6-man front. They're not going to They're not expecting anything of it. We just had to come back for a penalty, yada, yada, yada. So I make the call myself. Like, it's not even coming from the sideline. It's not even coming from the coach. I take it upon myself. It's like, cool, we're going to run this, so we'll run blue, 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 or something like that, whatever the adage was. And I remember talking to Monte Ball or Wings, or Steve Johnson, excuse me. And I remember him looking back, he was like, did he actually call the fake? Like, so then boom, come and I'll go around the edge, and like everybody's geeked or whatnot, and we go on to win that game. But it was like, that was a momentum shifter right there, because they were going to get the ball back. So was very fortunate to, have coaches that trusted me to go out there and make that call. Yeah.
That's the thing is
yep, here it is right here. Yeah.
Interception or whatever is like that momentum shift in a football game is huge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. See, because they weren't even ready there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So my rushing average, I think, is 20-something yards. So, if you're being a running back, you know what I'm saying? Downhill, baby.
Yeah. That's awesome. Average, man. That's awesome, man. That's cool. It's neat, man. It's like, so with the football stage, right? Mm-hmm. You, like the time in Denver, I know you use that to, do different things. It's like some charity work and some stuff you got into. Like, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Bruin's Books is my foundation that actually founded in 2015. Before we started that Super Bowl 50 run. So I feel like 2015 is just a great year, right? If there's any wine out there that's aged at 2015, that's a good year.
Yeah.
I started in 2015 and wanted to do something different. Like, everybody does a football camp, everybody does this, but what I gravitated to during my time playing, and shout out to Wesley Woodyard, because he taught me how to be a pro in the community as well, was like, find what you're passionate about to go volunteer at. So like everything that was a school or Denver Boys and Girls Club or something, like that's where I was. I did football camps every now and then, but my passion was like hoping to open up a reading library or a reading nook or something at these elementary schools throughout Denver.
Yeah.
Helping kids study or whatnot at the Boys and Girls Club, or they got rewarded for having good grades or whatnot. So being there to be part of their reward. That's what I gravitated to. The educational piece. I was always considered a nerd. Brian Dawkins would call me a nerd in the locker room because I was always reading a book in the cold tub or getting treatment, and I'm reading the book. I always had a book in my hand, especially during training camp. So I wanted to do something that was near and dear to me, and education was definitely near and dear to me. Like I said, went to Notre Dame, so education is huge there. Learning the playbook inside and out after I lost my starting job there. My 5th grade report card where my mom, handled business and got me squared away there.
Sure.
So PE and A and PE was not the only A I ever got again. So just doing all these different things kind of catapulted me to launch Bruton's Books, which is geared towards childhood literacy, K through 3rd grade in the Denver public school system.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah. So, it's neat that, like, to find that passion,
Absolutely.
Right? And then be able to give that back. And so how does it work? Like, how do how do people maybe get involved or like, because it's still going now, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We're going on 10 years, which is insane. Cool. The 10 years. So we do an annual golf outing for the last 3 years. So this will be year 4 here this year, solidifying a golf course here. But you can go onto the website, brutonsbooks.org, you can donate there. We are planning to revamp a reading list on Amazon, a book list on Amazon for schools and what their needs are in the Denver public school system.
Got it.
They're looking for diversity and culturally enriched books right there. Yeah. So over the last 2 years, we've been able to donate. We've donated $40,000 grants to 2 separate schools to, purchase iPads and supplemental reading programs and revamp libraries.
That's neat, man.
As well as, donate bikes from track and things of that nature. So reward these kids as well. So we've been very, very fortunate to continuously be able to give back and entrench ourselves back in school and make a positive change and see what that impact is doing.
Well, and that's a long-term, it's a long-term thing, right?
Absolutely.
For kids, like, reading. And I think it's so important because Absolutely. It also, your development, not only a skill of reading, but like, as you read a book, it allows you to dream,
Absolutely.
to think bigger, to, and imagine maybe where you can go and what you can do in life too.
Absolutely.
Which is neat.
Yeah, absolutely. Just it's a great tool to increase your opportunities to be successful in life, right? Like everything you have to read. And I used to pose this question to kids when I go talk to schools, like, what profession do you think you don't have to read? And some kid be like, football. I was like, you think we're just dummies? But no, we have to read the program, the playbook, understand it. Heck, contracts. What your NIL deal is now. Like there's a lot of comprehension that comes into it. So like that K through third grade, we focus on K through second grade to learn to read, and that third grade is when you start reading to learn.
Yeah,
and that's where the shift is. And there's such a big drop off there with the CMAS scores on reading that we're trying to address that, so there's more kids reading proficiently by the time they hit that third grade.
Love it.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome, man.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's with everything. What do you think like through your career, right? Because you played in the NFL for how many years?
8 years.
8 years total.
Yes, sir.
Right. So you left Denver and went to
the Commanders, formerly known Redskins.
Were they the Redskins?
They were the Redskins when I was there. Yep.
I don't know why they changed that.
Anyway, because everywhere else is still got their thing. Like
I don't get that one. But anyway, so you go there. What was the culture like shifting from?
Oh, it's so different. It was so different.
In what way? I'm curious.
From the locker room to ownership to, the facilities available to location of the stadium. Like the culture was just different. Definitely more fast paced out there in DC. We had to sign a petition to get new practice locker rooms in the.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was still metal lockers in the practice facility. Ownership, obviously you've seen what happened, or if you're not well versed, the ownership, they got bought out by a collective or something like that. It was just different. I feel like, there was a lot of pros on that team, and there's a lot of great players on the team that I had a great chance to play with and build a connection with, but the culture was definitely different than that of Denver.
Interesting.
Felt a little more lax at that time, especially during the season versus, Denver here. It's like, let's get a business. Yeah, we can have fun while doing it, but it was like business.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We can joke and shoot the shit every now and then.
Yeah. That's interesting, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you feel like that's obviously you have firsthand experience with that, but do you feel like there's certain organizations in the NFL where it's just a different culture?
Yeah, absolutely. It's what you build is your culture, right? It's like, I've been on a few podcasts, and this culture is definitely different than the podcast that I've done 2 weeks ago or whatnot. Like everything, there's a different vibe, a different feel to it. And how do you create that culture? Yeah. And are people buying in? Like same thing with PT clinics. Like, do you want an office space or you want one with weights and stuff like that? So you actually feel like you're still in a sport type culture.
Yeah.
So it's I feel like every team has their own individual culture, and yes, are the players going to buy into that culture? Right. It's like
sure.
And does that player fit that culture? So it's always, you're trying to fit pieces in, right? It's not just can you fit the right safety in that position and the linebacker there, and okay, can that linebacker also play special teams? Like, you're not trying just fitting that in, but you're also looking at, okay, are they going to be detrimental to the locker room?
Yeah.
Are they going to boost the locker room? Are they going to move the needle in a positive manner in the community? Like, there's a lot of different intricacies that go into creating the roster.
No, it makes sense, man. It's interesting from the outside because you only hear what you hear, right? But it's very different when you actually are in the building.
Absolutely.
Right. And then you see how the interactions happen, and it's creating that culture. I mean, it's often said, you're a byproduct of the people you spend the most time with, right? So, if you're around, I would imagine, and I would say this for me too, but like you're around players, for example, that are like everybody's raising the bar, right? Like I'm going to be better. So it's like, well, naturally my level's going to go up because everybody around me is high, right? So if you're not around that, and this is sports, this is also life and business, everything, right? So it's important to have that high level, and I feel like with you, it's like I'm getting this vibe that like you like that challenge, right? Like you like being around that and you want to better yourself.
Yeah,
I mean, is that a mentality that you have had kind of from a young age?
Yeah.
Like, is that something that was, and if so, where did that come from?
So I'll just leave you with the quote that my dad used to say to me, is like, the way you do small things is the way you do all things, right? And it's about creating a habit. It's about creating a habit. If you are able to do the small things like to 100% effort, no matter how tedious it is, washing dishes, cleaning the bottles, like whatever the case may be, like you're creating a habit to go all in on everything, even the bigger tasks,
Sure.
Just creating that habit of not necessarily perfectionism, but perfect effort. And that's what my dad taught me. And it's like, and I think I'm a byproduct of that because my dad said that to me. And then, okay, all right, I'm gonna work hard in practice. I'm gonna work hard in the film room. I'm gonna work hard, on the track, or I'm gonna work hard, with Bruton's books, or now in the business, like as a physical therapist, like, am I doing the best that I can for each patient, and then also the business, and making sure, I'm taking care of all the little small things too. So that advice has stuck with me my whole life.
I think that applies to anybody, man.
Yeah.
In a big way. So moving forward, like fast forward, you're winding down with your NFL career, right? I find it fascinating that you went back to school.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's, because you're, a lot of guys, I guess, probably don't do that. Right. Like, was it something you were thinking about? Like, was that the plan?
Yeah.
From the start?
Yeah. Oh, I wanted to be a physical therapist since I was in 7th grade.
So that was where it was.
Yeah,
okay.
I've known since 7th grade that I wanted to be a physical therapist.
So even before football?
Even before football.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Man.
So yeah, I went to Notre Dame. I tried pre-med as my first major, obviously. 18 credit hours, full-time job as a football player. My oldest son was born, and then after he was born, I got a part-time job at a hospital. I was almost ineligible my sophomore year, so I had to change majors and everything. So everything under the sun was going on during that freshman year. So changed majors and whatnot, but I always knew that I wanted to be a PT. So I had great experiences, with TJ over there, next level. My time at the Broncos, heck, even the time at the Redskins, or formerly known Redskins, currently Commanders. College PTs. I've had some great experiences, some not so great experiences, but ultimately it just kind of reiterated that I wanted to be a physical therapist. So once I was said and done, even before I retired, I got back into school at CU Denver. And, I was there trying to relearn how to learn, because I've been in football, had my last concussion. Learning was definitely different. I was struggling that first semester. So I was able to figure it out with help, classmates, tutors, teachers, figure it out. And then 2.5 years of prereqs, then the 2.5-year doctorate at CU, and now own my own practice, Between the Lines Physical Therapy.
That's cool, man.
Yes, sir.
That's real. I mean, it's one of those things like the growth definitely didn't stop, right? And I think that's what's neat. It's neat to hear that was something you wanted to you wanted to get into.
Yeah.
Right. So it looks like we got the site pulled up.
Yeah.
So this is your business here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we follow the adage: reset, relearn, reinforce. So when you come into the clinic, you're looking to reduce pain, reset the muscles, make sure activate, you relearn how to properly use them, and then kind of like I was kind of alluded to earlier, like having gym equipment to reinforce what we were doing. So
interesting.
We respond to stress, right? We respond to it mentally. Like, okay, this exam is stressing me out. I got to study. Okay, I'm going to do well.
Yep.
So the body responds to stress. Like, if you don't stress the muscles, stress the tissue, is it going to grow?
No.
Is it going to get stronger?
Not,
right? Like we respond as creatures. We respond to stress in all facets of life. So how do we get better? I don't think a band is enough, right? Yeah. I think you have to actually move weight. You want to get faster, you got to move the weight fast.
Sure.
Because if you move that fast, you can run faster at your body weight or something like that, or produce more force. So I just took my time on the table as a player, as an athlete, and kind of like, okay, this is what they did here. This makes sense now. I want to incorporate that here at Between the Lines. And I want to use that. I want to have a gym. I want to tap into that biopsychosocial model of the human being. Like, okay, mentally, would you respond as an athlete in an office space, or are you going to respond better in the gym?
Yeah, in
a
gym.
Yeah, in a gym, right? Because you still feel like you're still an athlete, even no matter what you have going on. Shoulder, knee, ACL blown out, like whatever it is. Like, you're tapping into that mental space, because that plays a role in rehab. So
sure.
I just wanted to create a practice that had a culture that was built towards athletes, built towards getting better, built towards not just getting back to your baseline. I want you to be faster than what the heck you were before your injury. I want you to be stronger. Up. Yeah. There's no reason to be stagnant. Like, the world is going to keep getting better, and guys and girls are going to get faster, bigger, stronger too. Like, and you just lost however much time with that injury. we got to vamp it up,
bring it back up.
Yeah.
So injuries during your career, that's something we didn't talk about.
Yeah.
Right. So what was the worst? Was there stuff that you had to work through yourself to come back from? I mean, is there, because obviously you're going to get banged up playing football, right? Like that's a normal thing, but like what was that like? Because that's always a fun question.
Yeah. No, so honestly, I got through relatively unscathed, aside from concussions. Like I had 6 on record. That's what, I've been in the hospital twice from them. I did the whole thumbs up, had the jersey cut off. Like those are probably the worst injuries. But if you're looking at the injury that affected me mentally, probably the most was breaking my leg in December of our 2015 season. It's the most that I've played on defense.
Okay.
I'm leading the team in interceptions. I'm having a great year. It's my contract year.
Which is a big year.
Yeah, big year. Yeah. And I break my leg in the first quarter, play the whole game versus the Steelers on a broken leg. And they tell me.
How did you break your leg?
So it was a deep ball, and then Akib's knee hit me dead in my fibula and snapped it.
So that people that aren't familiar, you have a tibia and a fibula.
Yep.
Lower leg.
Lower leg, yep.
Right. So the tibia is the main weight bearing bone, but the fibula plays its role.
Oh, yeah. You feel it. Just because it's smaller, you don't feel it. Yeah.
So did you know it was broken?
No, I thought it was a calf cramp. Like, it just felt like it achy and started grabbing, and it's like, so I'd go to the sideline after every series, like, can you work on this? Can we do this? They would touch it. I'd light up like a Christmas tree. I was like, don't touch it. We're not going to touch it. Just
so
give me
they would
cast
touch it, and you were
like
hurt.
Trying to do a soft tissue or something like that. Yeah. I think this is it right there. Boom, right there. That's where it happened. Yeah.
So you didn't even go down.
Yep. So boom, his knee right there into that fibula right there. So yeah, that's what happened there. And why that injury was hard, not just because of his contract year or whatever. I got put on IR. I'm not part of the team in respect, right? Because I'm not in the meetings. I'm not at practice. I'm not in that locker room with those guys. It was a toll mentally. It was a toll mentally. There was a lot of stress that came in there, and I never smoked weed before in my life, but I went on a 2-week bender. Yeah. After that, it's like, because I don't know how to cope. I'm not practicing. I'm not there 7 to 5 anymore.
It's December, so late.
Yep.
Late in the season. Yep.
So they put me on IR that Monday, and so the Super Bowl's legit 6 weeks from that day. Yeah. So it's like, damn.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if it happened the week earlier, then I had a chance or whatnot per bone healing. But, so that 2 weeks mentally was tough. So I utilized that as a relatability to kids who are in their junior year, senior years. Like,
sure,
I know exactly where you're going through. Or do you miss your state championship game or something? I know exactly where you've been.
Yeah.
I missed the biggest game on stage because I broke my leg at the end of the season.
Yeah. Yeah. And just quick, just like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining the mental side of that was harder than the physical.
Absolutely.
Like it's just, that's something you don't want, you never expect, right? Like but you're coming back from.
Yeah.
Did that moment where you're going through that, did that reinforce you being a PT, like wanting to go into that?
No, I think
you were already like,
I knew that I wanted to, but we kept going deep into the playoffs, so I never got a chance to go back into school while I played. I think what reinforced being a PT was probably more so the concussions and the involvement of concussion treatment, from sitting into a dark room to like, okay, you're chilling for 2-3 days.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get you back on the treadmill or on the bike. We're going to tap into that somatosensory system. We're going to, you're in this metabolic cascade. Like we're going to feed you the right way. We're going to bring in a neuroscientist and a PT and all these different professionals, because at the end of the day, you need a medical team when it comes down to a concussion.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Do you think the changes they made to the game of football, like around that?
Yeah.
Like, what are your thoughts on that?
The concussions are going to continue happening. Like the game is going to have to completely shut down or go to flag football, because even though the helmets get safer, doesn't mean I'm not going to use it as a launching tool.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
It's like doesn't mean that my head doesn't hit the ground.
Sure.
Doesn't mean that I'm not going to get hit in this weird way, or like even the little micro collisions with linemen that up close and personal, like that's going to add up too. Like
over time.
The game's not. You can't change that. You can't take that part out. Now I know they try to make it safer. Like you can't lead with your head. You can't hit at upper body or whatever. But now you see an increase of leg injuries, right?
Yes.
Knees being blown out, hips being jacked up.
Well, like
ankles,
as a defensive player, right? Like I'm very curious your perspective, right? Because it's like, and I kind of talked to Derek Wolf about this a little bit too, but it's like you're kind of handcuffing the defense, right? So it's like, can you play defense like you want to play defense? And if you're worried in a way about how you're going to tackle somebody, the game's moving so quick, right? Like it's like, well, I can't, now I need to hold back, and do I get hurt because I'm holding back, right? Like any of that, like, some of these changes, I think, where the pressure to make those changes comes from, who knows, whatever. But it's like, you can't, and Derek was talking more about hitting a quarterback. It's like, well, you can't barely touch the guy. And now it's like, oh my gosh, like it's the, like an assault or something, like it's like, get out of here, man. Like it's like the game has to be the game. And again, like you said, it's naturally things are going to happen, right? Like there's risk involved, but it's once you take that all out, like you said, are we going to go to flag football now? Like where does it go?
Right. Like it's impossible. There's things happen so quick. Like you said, things happen so quick. It's like, I'm a safety and the wide receiver bobbles the ball and I'm already aiming low and he has to go low, and now I'm helmet to helmet with them. I wasn't intentionally aiming low, but now I'm going to get a penalty and I'm going to get fined. Like, right. It's like they're not taking into effect how fast the game is in some of these rules.
Man. And at each level, it just gets faster, right? So guys, like, it's just to have that perspective. It's hard to even explain that to people. It's like I would say for me, and I never played pro basketball, but just the difference from high school to college. You have to know what's going to happen almost before it happens. Otherwise, you're late. Right. So it's like you're anticipating, and you're there. Right. But this is the way it works. So it, and little things like that, like a bobble, like things are going to happen. And it's not, you're not intentionally as a defensive player trying to target or hurt somebody or whatever. But it's like, I'm trying to make a play.
Absolutely.
So how can you, if you're moving that quick, how can you slow down? It's just hard. Like you can't do it.
It's impossible. It's impossible. You've already committed, you anticipated, you're reacting, the game's reaction, and you don't want your reaction slow, or you're going to get, they're going to score 7. They're going to run by you. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get ran over. You're going to be on ESPN. In the bad light because you're the guy who just got burned or whatever. Right. Big
time. Yep. And if you do that, then you mess up in a different way. Right. It's I don't know, man. I'm only very outside perspective, but it's like it's kind of. I don't think that some of the changes are great. For the game, it's just not.
It's not. And hopefully they revamp some of the rules. Like special teams, it's that. That rule is stupid. I hate how special teams is played right now. As a special teams guy, like I wouldn't even make the team in that sense. Like, right, you took out 2 phases of the game that I played a huge role in.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. And like you said, it's changed. And then you got all this stuff with college now, and like whatever. It's just it's a different time, right? Like, and I think that as you were coming up, how much was social media even a part of it?
No, I didn't get Facebook till my freshman year. I think I had MySpace my 8th grade year.
That's crazy, man. No, I know, me too. But it's different. Like, do you think kids now are being impacted by that in a different way?
1,000%. But it's also a way for them to increase their brand visibility, right? Like, so there's added pressure. Like, do you get an LLC on your social media or something like that? Like, and try to make money that way. Okay, you have this many followers as a high school athlete. Cool. Well, I'm willing to pay you more based off the number of followers that you have, right? So it can be utilized in a positive light to promote your brand, your business. I think it's great in that sense, but it's also an easy caveat for people to get a hold of you and talk crap about you and be negative about you and all that stuff. And can you, as a young kid, wipe out that outside noise? Because you're going to get judged and hated on the rest of your life in some way, shape, or form. Everybody's going to have something to say. Can you navigate that headspace? Can you navigate that pressure?
As a player, here's the thing is I think it could, when you're on a high, right? Like when you're riding a wave and you're like, man, I'm playing great or whatever, and everybody's loving you, right? And then something goes wrong. It's that difference of the positive to negative, because the negative will come quick, as we know, right? So like dealing with that as a player, like did you Did you ever experience much of that?
Yeah.
Like up and down, or was it more like you were happy when you played well, but like if you didn't do something well, you knew you could have done it better, you were harder on yourself?
Yeah, definitely was harder on myself. At the end of the day, I was the one playing, but I think that came with the professionalism of dog champ, not worrying about that. What you do in the locker room, what you do on the field, and what you do on the games is what matters. These people are sitting on the couch, they're Hall of Fame coaches from the couch or whatnot, yada, 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 right? So, you get messages saying you suck, they should cut them, cut that. I hear it when I go watch a game at a bar or whatnot, fire him, fire that. It's like, okay, let's flip it on you.
Yes.
Would you want me to come to your work and tell you suck, you should get fired? Like, right? Like
that would make it real for people.
Right.
Yeah,
it'd be real. It'd be a whole different story. But since we're in the limelight, everybody thinks they have this green light to go, all right, well, you're making all this money, you can't make mistakes or yada yada.
Sure.
Like, perfection does not exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfection does not exist.
You can strive for it.
You can strive for it, but it does not exist.
100%.
Right? Like life is all about failures. Life is full of more failures than success.
Yeah.
Right? And each failure is teaching you what's your next step to get to that point of success, right?
For sure.
So
I couldn't agree with that more, man. So what's next for you, brother?
Oh man, I hope nothing. Shoot, I'm exhausted. I got so many things going on. Kids track and the little ones.
How old are your kids now?
19, 9, 8, and 3.
Wow. So you got a wide spectrum.
The whole spectrum.
Yeah.
The whole spectrum.
Every age almost. So,
Yep. The whole spectrum. So, hopefully grow the business, get another PT in there. Develop a better partnership with some of the high school teams around that area. And then continuously work in the community to grow the foundation to make a bigger impact. I feel like I wear quite a few hats, and those hats keep me busy, and but they also keep me sane, right? Because I think if I wasn't doing anything, I'd go stir crazy.
Do you think that comes from like when you were out of the NFL, right? Was there a transition you went through? Obviously, you're motivated to go back to school and go in that path. Like, did you miss it? Do you miss it at all?
I missed the locker room. I missed the camaraderie. I missed the commonality of goals, right? I missed that aspect. And when I went to PT school, I found a small niche that we shared some of the similarities there. Like 2 gentlemen went to the military, and one lady played rugby professionally. Like, so that was the niche that I grew to because they understood.
Sure.
Like, you got to get the job done. Doesn't matter how bad it hurts. Like that mentality to strive for greatness and have that common goal at the end goal. And they've had some life experience.
Yeah.
That's what I miss. Like, cause you can't replicate what was in that locker room.
Yeah.
Right. You can't replicate the different personalities, right? You can't replicate that culture in its sense. I'm trying, I try, but you also, you're not going to get into a Keeve as a PT, right? Or right? Like, so that's what I miss honestly the most is just the locker room. Do I miss the contact? No. I only want to tackle my own kids. Like,
sure.
Like, I don't want to roll on the ground. Like, I don't want to do that. But I definitely miss the locker room. I miss that connection. I miss just those relationships that we formulated and built. And it's one of those lifelong relationships like where we don't see each other for years. Boom, we come back together. It's like we never missed a step.
Yeah, that's
right?
cool.
Yeah,
that's really cool, man. It's interesting. Like, I love talking to high level athletes with that because so you transition out. So many guys are hyper competitive, right? Like, and they need an outlet for that competitiveness to kind of fill their cup, right? Like as you're transitioning in different phases of your life, it's like what are you doing to fill that cup and to fill that void that was there, and there's but it's fascinating to hear how many people, and I would echo that too, like it's like the camaraderie, right? Like that group, and especially when you're working towards something, training camp, in season, whatever, like it's just a different energy.
Absolutely.
Right? Like that is very fun when you're in it, because it's a lot of times the journey, right? It's like the journey to get there.
Absolutely.
And you know, I know I found that for myself where, you know, you're getting ready for some type of big contest, and you know, it's like you're in the grind, right? Like you're in the grind, you're working so hard, like getting ready for it, and then that whatever event happens so quick, and it's over, win, lose, draw, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like when you step back from it, a lot of the best times were in the training.
Yep, in the phases to get there. Yep.
Yeah, and that's the, you know, I would imagine it's kind of the same thing.
100%.
Like you know, it's training camp and the guys are there and it's like, man, this is rough and whatever, but you're bonding through that, and then you're working towards a common goal. But it's a fascinating thing to experience it, right? And then especially to be around very driven, very motivated men that are working towards a common goal.
Absolutely.
Like it's something special, man.
It really is. It really is. I don't think you could have said that any better. Like the process in itself is where you build those relationships. Yeah.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy you're doing well, man.
Appreciate it.
It's
Thank
neat
you.
Neat to have you in and you know, get a little bit of the background, a little bit of the story and stuff. But you know, if you guys listen to this and enjoyed it, please share it. Definitely appreciate all the support there, and you know, give David some love, man.
Appreciate it.
Either through, you know, through your business or through your charity. Like, you know, we threw those up on the screen. We'll have the links below this as well if you want to check him out and give him some love, man. But wish you nothing but the best.
I appreciate it.
Notre Dame,
Yes,
we'll find out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We will F around and find out, right?
yes, man. Yeah, I think I told you this, but I texted Lauren Landau, you know, with them going in here, and I told them, man, you guys just finish, right?
Yeah.
Like finish the job and get it done.
Absolutely.
So it'll be cool, man. Well, hopefully that goes well and everything goes well for you, man. But I appreciate your time, brother.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Love being on the show, and go Irish.
Love it, man. Love it. Hope you guys enjoy that. For now, go out and be great. We'll check you guys later. If you enjoyed this podcast episode and would like to listen to another, click right here. And to stay informed about new podcast episodes, click here to subscribe.